Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, August 9th, the day of the week that we take our production time and turn it back to 10 p.m. London time for all of our friends across the pond. Without any further delay, let's go ahead and get this going and welcome in our small but quaint audience. Let's see who the heck we have out there. We've got Kathy Spires out there along with Francis Tremblay. We got Frazzle Says and Freezer Man, and got a lot of F's this morning. Good ones. Gray Hair Discoveries here along with Jay Boone. We got Jay Cat Meow. Necessary Dialogue just popped up. Sunny 8455. Rough Ready is here along with Super Unknown. We've got J Cat, Kathy Spire, Evan B, Firestarter, Galactic Family Podcast is here along with John Mooner. Kelly Brote will possibly be showing up. We got Mr. Joey B, the Coin 405, and wow, great audience. And can't forget Andy W. How about that? On that note, let's go ahead and jump into the studio. Mike, how the hell are you?
Doing well. Looking forward to the show today. We have a lot to talk about. It's going to be a fun conversation, I think, Thomas.
Oh, I think it's going to be very fun, my friend. Let's get to the top story of the day. What are we talking about? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the top on our list. What do we have? Yes, we've got our dear friend David Grush, and apparently David Grush's $2.3 million lawsuit against Loudoun County Sheriff Michael Chapman and a member of his staff has been permanently dismissed. Now, David Grush, as you remember, filed a suit after the sheriff released to journalist Ken Klippenstein a police incident report containing details of an episode that led to Grush's involuntary commitment to a mental health facility. Grush's name was redacted on the report, but Grush was identifiable based on other information within the document. Now, yesterday, the court heard Sheriff Chapman's demurrer, which argued that Grush's remaining claims for gross and willful negligence fail as a matter of law, even assuming all of the facts alleged by Grush and in his complaint were actually true. The judge has now held that the release of the redacted incident report was authorized under Virginia's FOIA law, and that the sheriff showed some level of care in the release because any showing of care defeats gross negligence, and willful negligence requires conscious disregard. Grush's two remaining claims were also dismissed. Now, as Grush's complaint was dismissed with prejudice, this means, Mike, it cannot be refiled. Sounds like they asked for too much and they didn't get anything.
Yeah, I don't know what the legal strategy was on Grush's side. If he had a competent attorney, he would have been able to determine these factors before they launched the suit. So, yeah, it seems like it's playing out the way that it should, unfortunately for Grush and his family.
Yeah, that is true, my friend. If we can get into the actual court documents, let's go ahead and bring this up for us to peruse through. The plaintiff's objections. Okay. The court ruling goes beyond the scope of demurrer standards. Specifically, while the court may look at sufficiency of the pleadings regarding duties and or standard of care, it is improper to make a legal determination because some level of standard care potentially existed. The plaintiff is, let me see if I can fix this here for 1 second. Where is that at? Tools. Yeah, it's long text selection. It's not, I'm getting to it. All right. Some level of standard care potentially existed. The plaintiff precluded from moving forward on theories of gross and or willful negligence. Now, the plaintiff objects to not being able to amend the plaintiff's complaint. The plaintiff contends, quote, leave to amend should be liberally granted in furtherance of the ends of justice, end quote. Now, the plaintiff expressed, that would be David, actually, and the court took into consideration the fact that the other information potentially existed that a, quote, standard of care, end quote, was breached by the defendants that rises to the level of gross and or willful negligence. However, due to the court's finding that a showing of some standard of care existed, the plaintiff will not be able to cure their defect on any amended complaint. For the ends of justice, plaintiff should be afforded the opportunity to cure his deficiencies and present arguments of fact before a trier of fact. Mike, just like you said here, sounds like he didn't have a good lawyer.
Doesn't sound like he had a lawyer at all, to be honest with you. But I don't know if that was the case, what he was thinking about launching this suit. I don't know. It really doesn't make a lot of sense with the outcome, does it?
No, it doesn't, my friend. We've got 2 more points to cover here. Now, our next one. Plaintiff objects not being able to amend plaintiff's complaint. He can't go ahead and change his complaint. He's upset about it. The plaintiff contends leave to amend should be liberally granted in furtherance of the ends of justice, the plaintiff expressed, and the court took into consideration the fact that other information potentially existed, that a standard of care was breached by the defendant that rises to the level of gross and or willful negligence. However, court stated that because of the FOIA statutory claims were incorporated into the counts, and of the plaintiff complaints, and because of confidential records were added as a part of the complaint on the party's order, craving oyer of the confidential records, the plaintiff would be unable to prove that the defendant's actions rose to a level that is sufficient to establish a breach of standard care for gross and willful negligence. For the ends of justice, plaintiff should be able to afford the opportunity, again, they're saying, to cure his deficiencies and presents an argument of fact. But it sounds like that's not going to be happening. The issue of a decree of standard care for gross negligence should go to a trier of fact and should have not been determined on demurrer. Specifically, the determination of whether the redaction of the plaintiff's confidential TDO documents and incorporation of FOIA statutes that allow for discretionary releases constitute a level of standard of care that is sufficient to withstand gross and willful negligence should not have been determined. Yeah, Mike, Grush is screwed on this one.
It sounds like it to me. I mean, most prosecutors that are going to, let's say, try somebody on a capital crime like murder, they have enough knowledge of the law and the court system to avoid using certain charges. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, on movies or TV shows, you hear murder in the first degree.
Right.
Well, that's premeditated. That means there was malice, forethought, knowledge, means, and opportunity to commit the crime. The reason why most prosecutors don't go and charge with murder in the first degree is because there are too many defenses that can be lobbied by the defendant to avoid that charge being held to the letter of the law, which the court does. So instead, they either go to murder in the second degree or they go to manslaughter.
Yeah, man
Why?
One or man two, right?
Right, because they get more convictions with a manslaughter charge because it's harder to defend against with typical defenses that they employ, and they get convictions. So it doesn't sound to me like there was proper legal representation taking all of this into account before the suit was initially filed.
Yeah.
Plus, I believe they should have included Ken Klippenstein as a defendant in this.
Maybe, David, we've heard he can be a little bit controlling over different things, potentially wanted and requested that it must be go under the way that it went, but it definitely sounds like it was a mistake. Now, if we can get to Mike, I've got the actual court order here coming from the judge in the circuit court for Loudoun County, Virginia. Plaintiff David Grush versus Michael Chapman et al., the defendants. The matter having come before the court on the amended demurrer filed by defendants Sheriff Michael Chapman and Marilyn Clark, and upon consideration of demurrer, the opposition of plaintiff defendants' reply and oral arguments, it is hereby ordered that the demurrer be the same hereby is sustained without leave to amend, and is further ordered that the plaintiff's complaint and this case are hereby dismissed with prejudice, and plaintiffs shall have until close of business on August 6th to submit objections, and that's what we had just read.
Right. So I don't think they were prepared. whoever is assisting David Grush with this lawsuit, I don't think that they were going to be able to meet that deadline, which, by the way, is a very short deadline. The judge didn't really give them a means or an opportunity to properly raise an objection on this.
Yeah.
So they basically just wanted to sweep it under the rug, shut it down, and they did exactly that.
Yeah. For those who are sometimes not legally inclined like myself, a demurrer is a pleading in a lawsuit that objects to or challenges a pleading filed by an opposing party. So that's what happened. The sheriff and those involved objected and challenged the case, and they absolutely won. Seems like a slam dunk.
Well, they knew they were going to win. Based on the plaintiff's complaints that were filed publicly in the court, they knew when it got before a judge how they were going to handle this, and they did. Doesn't sound like the same strategy applied to David Grush and his team.
Now, Paul goes ahead and brings up, HIPAA. But the one thing we've got to understand with HIPAA is something that kind of goes over different parties in different ways. And when you have a police case that comes up and there's information that can be released, sometimes they want to call HIPAA, but HIPAA doesn't qualify in this case.
It doesn't. You're right. That's a simple legal term that people throw around, but they don't know the true meaning of it or how it applies. And the court does. So the other issue you could look at with this is that now that it went to court, all of this information is now public.
Yep.
All of it. So he exposed himself even further down the line. If somebody wants to look into this case and bring more information out, they most certainly can under the law.
Right.
So I think that was a mistake. They could have handled this lawsuit a lot differently than the way that they did. Sounds like he was just pissed off about how it played out and what Klippenstein did. I mean, if, we're in his shoes. There's a lot to be pissed off about. But he didn't structure this lawsuit in a way that would have helped him to try to get some sort of satisfaction out of how it all played out.
He either didn't have proper guidance from an attorney, or he guided his attorney the way he wanted it, potentially not how the attorney wants it. That's something, unfortunately, we may never learn about. Because, as you know, we've been waiting, a year and a half now, if not longer, for David Grush's op-ed. Remember, it was promised again early in this year, but it never showed up.
It was promised the first week of May in this year, before they were going to have the canceled UAP public hearing on May 12th. He said, and that hearing was scheduled at that point for about a week's time. He said in about 2 to 3 weeks, he was going to be publicly releasing that op-ed. Well, that time came and went, and now we're months down the road, and there isn't a sound or an acknowledgement or any information coming forward. So I can't explain it. You and I have talked about this before on the show when he first made that public announcement, but, it's another piece of the puzzle that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Does it?
No, it doesn't, Mike. It's why promise something, say you're going to do it, but then it never comes out. However, though, both statements about the op-ed coming out were never made by David Grush himself. They were mentioned by other people who said they talked to Grush and this was what was coming, right?
Right. Yeah. They said that he was going to release the op-ed. And they also provided, and we covered this, they provided an explanation from Grush as to why the op-ed had not come out in the previous 2 years. And he gave an explanation that he was dealing with Dopser and other issues, and once that was resolved, he was able to release this op-ed. But that never materialized, unfortunately.
Yep.
So it's a big mystery.
Oh, it is.
None of this makes a lot of sense as far as how it's all playing out publicly. Not the op-ed,
Mike,
not
can I
the
ask you a
lawsuit.
question?
Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
Hey, just a question and a statement real quick. So do you think if Grush had focused more on the medical side of the people that released the information instead of going after the police department, that he would have been successful in the lawsuit?
I think because he wanted to call out gross and willful negligence is the reason behind it. That's why everything was fell to the floor, my friend.
Yeah, it's
Really?
that's the analogy that I just gave, Abe, earlier about why if somebody kills another person, they're not charged with the highest degree because it could be defeated with different defenses. So they go with something lesser that has equally grave consequences, but it's more of a slam dunk legally as far as a conviction. So they know that in the strategy that they use. It doesn't seem like that was applied here.
Is this a negative impact for the whistleblowers in Virginia, nationwide? It's going to impact whistleblowers wanting to come out and testify if they got to worry about their medical information being leaked to the public if they say something about
the
UFOs.
medical information came out because Grush was arrested or brought in, and subsequently he was committed for a period of time because of dealing with PTSD and alcoholism and other stuff caused by the PTSD. So, and that particular part, if he had not gotten arrested and that situation had not happened, this would never have taken place. But anytime you get in trouble with the law, your records are fair game.
Well, public information.
But as a veteran, if what we're suffering from is some of it is coming from this NHI UFO stuff that we've seen, this traumatic incident that's ontologically shocking, then why should we suffer because we're trying to do our part to be transparent with the world about what's going on with us?
I guess
as somebody who's seen UFOs in the military, I feel like this is a big negative and a loss for us.
Because of the letter, Abe. Because of how this lawsuit was filed. Because it depends on what remedy you're asking from the court. And because they use the language of this was gross negligence, gross, meaning this was something almost done legally on purpose, which it wasn't. It must have been, it was negligence, and even the court determined that, but not on the scale that was posed to the court, which is gross. And anytime a veteran, even if they're dealing with PTSD or some such thing, once it goes into the law enforcement community, it becomes a matter of public record. There's no way around that. So if you get arrested and the reason you're being charged is because you're having some sort of mental or medical issue that's occurring, that doesn't mean that you are immune to having this information come out publicly. You're not. So it has nothing to do with the UFO sightings or the investigation he was involved in. It isn't about the stigma of the subject matter. It's about the legal system and what's public and what isn't. And anytime a crime has been reported and police act, that is automatically public record. Same thing if you go to court. If you are involved in, let's say, an order of protection from a family member or a spouse, that is all public record. There's no way to cover that up or hide it. So once that happens, it's fair game, like Thomas pointed out.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel sorry for Grush and his family, and I wish him the best.
Yeah.
And I hope we can, as a community, move forward despite this.
Yeah. And it just comes down to it. If there's something you don't want it to get out, or something about you, either stand behind yourself in the situation, or if that goes on, just try to keep your nose out of the law. But if I could really quick, we've gotten we've gotten some super chats coming really quick. I want to go and recognize some people for that. We appreciate that here at Disclosure tonight. We're a fan-funded program. And who am I talking about? Well, we'll start off. We had Alex Clark. They're all to super chat at us. Let me turn off the auto. Thank you, Alex Clark. Mr. Catfish 2100. Smash that like and button. Where are the pets? Moose is sleeping on the recliner, and the other dogs are upstairs with Luke. So, Eli McGinnis, I believe, $9.99. Thank you very much. Spinning in the chair, absolutely. And Mr. Catfish 2100. Are the Grays allowed on the show? Well, yeah, of course, if they're going to show up. But we'll leave it at that. But if we can get back to the story here, Michael Suckloff, your hand is up.
Yeah, here's what I don't understand about the law. If medical records are held by one institution and not allowed to be published, how is it possible that medical records for anybody that holds records be published?
Medical records weren't published, Michael. It's not like they got the doctor that was treating him.
Nope.
They didn't get all of the details or information. They only got the PTSD that he explained when he was arrested as far as what he was experiencing and dealing with. That was public record, but not his actual medical records.
And Mike, if I can go on to this one, if there was a cam on the officers when they were recording him, that information would also have been released as far as video evidence along with him saying these things.
Correct.
Trust me, I've seen enough of those videos.
Yep. No, you're right. That's exactly what it is. But this is the legal system in this country, and people need to be aware of that when issues like this occur.
Yeah.
So,
hey, at least the legal system in the United States doesn't go ahead and fine someone 25,000 Canadian dollars for walking into the forest. That's a new one I heard about recently. That's just crazy.
Yeah, something is going on in Canada that really doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense.
No.
Some sort of authoritarian takeover seems to be occurring in that country.
In different parts of Canada, unfortunately, we've got a story we'll be covering later on in regards to that. It's a interesting situation, to say the least. Let me see if I can find the next one we're going to get to. Well, all right. This is number 2 on our list. I thought I had it here. Let me go ahead and get this together. The next piece I want to go ahead and play out of order, but apparently on a recording of Joe Rogan on the Age of Disclosure. Interesting thing about this, Mike, the documentary is essentially calling for mass amnesty for all the people in the government who covered this up.
How could that be?
I don't. Well, isn't Lou Elizondo one of the people who was kind of associated with it? And that's something Lou had said for the longest time, that people who are part of, if we want things to go forward, we're going to have to bring amnesty forward. Let's listen to Joe Rogan on this one.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that one. And that will be a survey we're going to go ahead and do next. Keep this in mind. Does the government deserve amnesty for their crimes against people of the United States and everybody else? I don't think so. Lock them up.
Oh, you mean the capital crimes that were allegedly committed, that even recently Jeremy Corbell came forward and said he knows people have been murdered to keep this quiet? Yeah, there's no statute of limitations on a capital crime like murder, nor should there be any reconciliation on that.
Nope. And you know what? And if they broke the law and hid the information from Congress, who's supposed to have an oversight, you know what? Lock them up. That's all I could say. Let's go ahead and see what Joe Rogan has to say. I've always taken a hard stance on that one because I just call it any kind of amnesty is bullshit and reasons to give them for keeping the cover-up going. Let's see what Joe Rogan has to say on this one. Here we go.
Age of Disclosure documentary. That's what it is, right? Yeah. There's a documentary that they premiered at Sundance, or at South by Southwest, rather, here, that was really good. And it is essentially just all these different people that worked on these programs spilling the beans. And they all have pretty similar stories. And the bottleneck seems to be that all this stuff was done without congressional approval, which is highly illegal. So all the research, all this hidden back engineering programs, all this stuff in conjunction also with military contractors. So those are the ones that build the jets and the rockets, and so you have to go to them to help with this stuff and to try to back engineer this stuff. So then there's this competitive advantage they would have over other military contractors that don't get a crashed UFO. And
which Lou Elizondo has brought up countless times. Let's listen more, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
So then people are getting sued, people are going to jail. There's a lot of money that was allocated for these things that was done through lies. And there's a lot of problems with that. And with this documentary is essentially calling for mass amnesty and saying, look, if this is real, and they think it is, this is a situation that is forget about whatever laws we have in terms of finance. This is a much bigger deal. There is direct evidence of an actual life form that is not Homo sapiens, that can do things that we can't do, that visits us. And occasionally they lose a craft.
Wow, wow, wow. On that note, let me go ahead and start up a poll here. When we go ahead and talk about this and debate about this thing, our question is, should amnesty be provided to those involved in the UFO cover-up? My friend Mike, I'll let you start this off, and I'd like to hear from our friends in the back as well. Mike, what do you think?
Oh, fuck no, because then that would be providing cover for people who committed these abysmal crimes. If people have been murdered over this, no, they shouldn't be given a pat on the back and a free pass. Not at all.
Yes. Andy, what do you think? Do they deserve amnesty? How would you vote on this?
No chance. I agree with Mike, and I voted no, they shouldn't deserve it. Lock them up, throw away the key.
Absolutely. Manuel, what do you think?
I say no.
You'd say no as well. Who else do we have in the back? Let's go
Why
to...
should they anyways?
Yeah, they don't deserve it. Flat out.
No,
they broke
don't.
the law. They knowingly broke the law. Lock them up. Corporal Abe, what say you?
50% of me wants to say lock them up, and 50% wants to say no. If they were under orders, what are they going to do? They have families just like we all do. And if you're in uniform, I don't know, and there's a certain level.
But if you're in uniform and you're given orders that are in violation of the Constitution,
can't do anything. You can't do anything.
well, then their superiors who gave them the orders, someone should take the consequences for that.
Hey, let me remind you, if you look at history, the end of the Second World War, when they had the Nuremberg trials and they were trying all the Nazis who committed the Holocaust, every one of them tried to use it as a defense. I was just following orders. It didn't work as a defense because even as a soldier, if you are ordered to do something you know is wrong, it's illegal, like murder, you don't have to comply. And these people were all hung and executed. So that didn't work then, and it wouldn't work now. It's just a matter of history and legal fact. Simple enough.
Yeah,
Where are we at with the poll so far?
Right now, the poll 2 minutes ago, we're 71 votes in so far. 75% of our audience is saying no, they don't deserve amnesty. 25% of our audience is saying yes. Jay Albertson, you're new to the back. Your hand is up. How would you vote on this?
Well, I'm saying that to not give them amnesty at all.
Yeah.
I'm a retired sergeant, Bronze Star. Don't give them any amnesty. There's no. If you're sitting there and you're doing something that bad and everything, you know. But I want to disagree also with Mike on one thing. It depends on the situation to whether or not you're going to get amnesty or not, because you had the Nuremberg trials and all of that, but you also had Operation Paperclip, where they had all these Nazi scientists that were given cushy jobs and six-figure paychecks that were killing everybody.
Well,
yeah, but I guess Operation Paperclip came down to, what are the two magic words we love so much, Mike? National security.
Right.
That's the problem.
That's what they always say, though.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Hey,
So,
I didn't get a chance to hear what you were saying, Tom. Can you tell me what you were saying?
on which?
We were talking about amnesty and the lower ranking individuals. I felt like they should.
Well, if lower ranking individuals, the grunts in there potentially, if we would say if they would get amnesty, potentially, depending on the crime, if they killed someone, they're gonna have to pay the price. If they were doing other stuff to cover it up and it caused harm, get the leaders above them to a certain point who passed this down. Someone has to pay the price for the crimes that were committed.
I 100% agree. I just lost reception. I couldn't hear you. Thanks.
Not a problem. Yeah. Great conversation all around, my friends.
Yeah. So, I mean, a simple fact under the law is that if you have, let's say, a criminal organization, and they have a button man, who goes out to do the actual killing. It doesn't matter that that person committed that act. If they in turn reveal and testify against the person who put the order out to do it, they usually dealt with very leniently under the law. They may even end up in witness protection, like Sammy the Bull Gravano did when he testified against John Gotti. That was back in the 80s here in New York. I could tell you that even in a situation like this, if there were people who in the government, in the military, were involved in some of these atrocities, and they come forward and they point out the people who gave the orders and provide testimony and witness and evidence, they're not going to have the full weight of the law land on them. They will be protected. They will be dealt with no different than the way we deal with the criminal organizations. It'll work the same way. So if anyone wants to come forward with information about this, they certainly can, and they will be dealt with the right way. That hasn't changed, and that's still in place. So anyone that has information and wants to come forward, they should. Problem is, we haven't really seen anybody do that yet.
No, we haven't.
Not on a grand scale.
There hasn't been information that's came out that is pertinent enough to potentially, invoke that need.
That there's these people. We keep hearing that, oh my God, there's tons of whistleblowers and they're coming, and it's been multiple years that we've been waiting. I think it's fear that is keeping them from coming out.
Well, we covered this on the show recently when Representative Robert Garcia had made a statement that a lot of the people who had testified behind closed doors in Congress, they don't feel, well, two things. There was 2 points. They don't want to come forward because A, they don't feel that if they did, anything was going to be accomplished by Congress with that information, because so far it hasn't. And 2, they don't have sufficient protection on the law books that would protect them and their families from any type of retribution moving forward, including losing whatever jobs that they have with their security clearances and having that taken away. So until Congress enacts sufficient protection for them and is able to move forward the way that they should on that information, they don't feel it's going to accomplish anything for them to do that, which I can understand.
Yeah, I can understand that too, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Mike,
and what if, the situation Elizondo brought up many times in the past, what if, technology was given to a corporation, they learned stuff from it, and enabled them to get government contracts that their competitors couldn't get. Their competitors went out of business. People lost their money, their life savings, while the other people invested in the company, they got access to this technology, potentially illegally, and it wasn't properly shared across an industry. That kind of a situation could easily lead into securities fraud, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Oh, listen, Ross talked about this being an attorney, and he said that the stockholders of a lot of these blue chip military industrial complexes like Lockheed Martin, if they have technology that they have been hiding from their investors, from the stockholders, that's illegal. And this goes through major companies, and how long this has been going on. The game playing that they've been doing with the behind the scenes is something they most definitely can be prosecuted on financial crimes, on legal crimes. It's disgusting how much has actually been done to keep this quiet, and as long as that's been going on, 8 decades so far and counting.
Yeah. It's just one of those things you bring up, you look at, Mike, and it just, ever since it was initially brought up with Amnesty, my particular feeling on this has been lock them up. Just saying. Right. And that's where over 75% of our audience has taken this conversation. Actually, it was 75% out of 88 votes.
Right. So we should also point out that the Trump administration has recently removed the national security clearances that a lot of the people who were involved in this cover-up, usually after they leave government service, they have for life, and they benefit from that. For the first time, this administration stripped them of all of these things, like James Clapper, that was called out by when the Edward Snowden come forward and said they're spying on every American and lying about it, and lied under oath in Congress. Now he got his national security clearances revoked permanently. So all of these people are on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And they're now starting for the first time to pay consequences of their actions by this administration, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Before we move on to the next topic, Mike, someone brings up, King Bull brings up and said, I'm glad Bryce has moved on from Colehart and his BS claims that it was losing need to know credibility. He will have a much more successful show without him. And Mike, who did you speculate last night that could potentially take Ross's role?
Richard Dolan,
who
is a co-author of After Disclosure, the book that he and Bryce had written. And they're good friends.
Yeah.
And Richard Dolan is very credible. We've had him on the show. He's a friend of ours. He's a good conversationalist. He's very knowledgeable on this subject. He's still actively involved in research on it.
Yeah.
So, I think he would be a good replacement for Ross moving forward.
Oh, gosh, yes. And you know what? It's not like Bryce is doing Need to Know podcasts, which he may change the name of the show. You never know. It's not like he's doing regular podcasts on a daily or weekly basis. Doesn't Bryce usually do about once a month? So that whoever's going to be joining him as a co-host, it's not like there's a huge investment of time.
No, not at all. And that's just the way that the format is for that show. So I think they could move forward. Bryce could probably do very well if he and his friend Richard Dolan were to do the show together.
Yeah.
That would, I think, improve the credibility and I think the subject matter of what they would be covering on Need to Know.
Oh, absolutely. Now, before we get to the story about winged orbs being promoted by Bledsoe at his SciCon conference, you mean birds, seagulls? You know, something that, we haven't heard Mick West chime up on yet. We'll get to that story next. Oh, boy, where's that going? Where is that going, my friends? Our next story that we're going to get to, where is that at? All right, here we go, is about our dear friend, AVI Loeb. He is in the news again. Uh-oh. Come on. Talking about 3I Atlas, yes, that comet that does not go away. Mike, have you actually heard there's several papers that came out about 3I Atlas and they actually lied in the paper or misrepresented data to try and prove that it was a comet when that information was blatantly false?
Oh, well, leave it to AVI Loeb to keep certain information from coming out publicly. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
So we've got a quick clip here coming from News Nation. Let's go ahead and get this one up. Let me go ahead and get into the video room. All right, let's get this set up so we can go ahead and watch this. I'll turn off the on-screen chat so we can enjoy the broadcast. So let me turn that off right now. And by the way, I want to thank Baba200 for the last super chat we just got, saying if the technology comes out, government as you know it will not exist. Nothing will be the same, and all of this won't matter at all. It's kind of like, when electricity came around, it changed everything. When the automobile came around, it changed everything. When nuclear power came around, it kind of changed some stuff. But anytime, even look at how when AI came around, how it's changing anything. So whatever comes around, coming out of this, you know what? I think humanity has no problem, Mike, to go ahead and deal with it. Yes, it will change where we're at, but we've had more than enough things challenging our reality, or if not, improving it. So let's get to this video about AVI Loeb. Here we go.
Difficult to spot. There aren't many that are passing through the solar system, but this one is quite unusual. It's relatively bright, meaning that it has, if it's a solid object, has a diameter of 20 kilometers. That's bigger than Manhattan Island. And there isn't enough material in rocks in interstellar space to give us such a giant rock once per decade. That's the duration of the survey of the sky. We expect once per 10,000 years such a giant rock. And so the question is, what is it? Now, people argue that it must be a comet, but for a comet, you usually see a cometary tail trailing behind it. In this case, the deepest image that we had with the Hubble Space Telescope revealed that it has glow in front of it. not behind it. And then the trajectory of this object is extremely unusual, fine-tuned. It lies in the plane of the orbits of the planets around the sun to within 5 degrees. The chance for that happening at random is 1 in 500. And then it comes at a very special time when it passes close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. The chance of that happening for this object to pass so close to these as they move around the sun is 1 in 20,000. And when it gets closest to the sun, the Earth would be on the opposite side, so we can't observe it. That could be on purpose if it wants to do some maneuver, taking advantage of the sun's gravity or sending probes to the inner planets. So it looks quite unusual. It came from a direction where there are lots of stars in the sky. That's why we had a hard time identifying it. The question is it technological?
Well, it could be. Or is it possible it is a comet and the tail, you might not see it right now, but the closer it gets, you might see the tail. You might then say, oh, it is a comet. That's a possibility too?
It is a possibility, but we don't see any trace of gas around it, no fingerprints of molecules or atoms. So the question is, does it really look like a comet? And of course, as it gets closer to the sun, it will warm up and we should be able to see clearer signatures if it is a comet. I have a scale that I invented for the purpose of this object, where 0 would be a natural object and 10 would be a definitely technological object. I give it a 4 right now. Okay. And within the coming months, we might realize that it's actually a 0 if it looks like it's a natural object, or a 10. If it's a 10, then the question is, what do we do about it? And it comes closest to the sun on the 29th of October. It may well be that if we realize it's technological, the stock market will crash because there will be a huge uncertainty.
What do we do? Okay, that's the question. First of all, A, what do you do to find out what it is? And B, if it is what you think, what do we do?
Right. So the response has to depend on its properties and its intent. What is it doing as it comes closer to us? And it's just like having a visitor in your backyard. You can't decide about the policy for all visitors. It really depends on the intent of the visitor. And it's just next door. So it's not like getting a radio signal from a star that is thousands of light years away, where we would have plenty of time to decide how to respond. And I believe that we need an international organization that will make policy decisions about such an object. We are worried about existential threats from artificial intelligence, from global climate change, from an asteroid impact, but we never discuss alien technology.
No, I mean, this is now taking it to a different level. I don't really know what to say other than perhaps, I mean, we've spoken before. You've sold me on the fact we need to study this, and using what we have up there to potentially study this before it actually arrives or as it arrives. You make a compelling case, sir.
Yeah, it makes a compelling case. Interesting situation. Now, one of the things that's even more compelling about this, let me bring up this title one here. The interstellar object 3I Atlas has been now recently seen that it's actually venting water. Now, a new peer-reviewed study has just confirmed, let me get this here, that water emissions in the third interstellar object ever discovered. Translation, this thing is venting water at 3.5 astronomical units. That's a distance between 1 AU is the distance between Earth and the sun. And here's why it matters. First off, let's start with the big headline. Using NASA's SWIFT and UVOT telescope, astronomers directly detected water emissions near Atlas, the UV fingerprint of water sublimation in the comet of 3I Atlas. Now, this is the first confirmed water detection in the object. Now, that detection alone would be wild. Let me get myself on screen here so we can deal with this. All right, here we go. Isn't supposed to be subliminate efficiency. Most comets rely on carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide outgassing that far out. So how the hell is this thing spraying 40 kilograms of water per second. Let's break that number down. The water production rate is approximately it's equivalent to, if you want to call it, 40 kilograms per second of water loss at the distance of the sun, at the distance of 3.5 times the Earth from the sun. At that distance, again, most comets are just crusty rocks. This one appears to be alive. Not in a live sense, meaning it's doing something that we're not expecting. So to sustain that water vapor, the scientific team modeled what the kind of active surface area of 3A Atlas would need. That comes to approximately 20% of the entire surface, assuming sublimination directly from the nucleus. For comparison, most comets only activate 3 to 5% of their surface. Let's move on. Next. So either this is the most overachieving space snowball we've ever seen, or the water's coming from large icy grains already lofted into the coma, not from the surface directly. And there's support for that. Near-infrared spectra from Gemini and the IRTF in July showed large icy particles in the coma. Now, here's something else that's odd. There's no carbon monoxide emission yet. Usually carbon monoxide shows up early in the volatile fragment that fluoresces hard and often shows up before water. So 3I Atlas is showing water before carbon monoxide. That tells you something about its chemistry. Now, this detection leans heavily on accurate reddening estimates of how much the comet's reflected light is shifted redward by dust. Accounting for that, the team basically said, yeah, it's a solid object. So that puts 3I Atlas again among the most dust-rich comets ever observed, alongside legends of Hale-Bopp and Grad. That's insane for what they're calling an interstellar object. And this isn't the first time astronomers have seen distance water activity in a weird comet. Turn back the clocks of time, we have Comet Boel showed water at 5.3 AU, but only because of it ejected a ton of icy grains. Same with Grad, grain driven by water release. Now 3I may be doing the same thing, just from another star. We don't know. So this means there are two working hypotheses out there. One, 3I Atlas is water rich from a low metallic-y system, and the water production will peak near perihelion with a few hypervolatives like carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Or two, it's hypervolatile rich like carbon dioxide, and water will drop after perihelion as deeper volatiles dominate. Wow, this is just an interesting story to say the least. Now, Mike, there's just, this changes the game now that we have direct ultraviolet evidence of water from an object born in another solar system, and it doesn't behave like our comets. Its coma is redder, its grains are larger, its outgases are stronger, its chemistry is off. 3I is more alien in more ways than one. Will it keep pumping out water, or will carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide and other volatiles suddenly dominate? That shift will reveal the kind of system ejected it and how exotic this really is. Now, the paper is a massive milestone. It's the first confirmed water detection from 3I Atlas using UV spectroscopy, something ground-based telescopes can't easily do. And it's also a reminder that we're not just seeing interstellar rocks, we're seeing interstellar chemistry in real time. And for those who are interested in the paper I was referring to, let me go ahead and copy that clean link. Let me go ahead and just paste it here so it will be clean. Give me a second here. All right, let's get to it. And coming from Cornell University, let me paste this in the chat. 3I at it. Here we go. Mike, so the jury is still out on 3I Atlas. It's not our usual comet. Heck, it's not even our normal interstellar object. Granted, we've only seen 3 at this point. What are your thoughts?
Well, even with the new information, it doesn't sound to me like the claims that Dr. Loeb has been making about hostile alien intent and the world may be coming to an end soon are justified.
Yeah. Well,
So
he's saying it could be a slight chance, but we should be taking a look. If there's things coming to into our solar system, we're not sure where we're at. It seems like these interstellar objects, there's been more of them coming on more frequently. Hopefully this isn't something set up where we're going to start getting a bombardment of these types of objects, heading us into the next, if you want to call it, global catastrophe.
But it's not really as big of a mystery as Dr. Loeb seems to be making it. You have talked before in the past on the show about how our solar system doesn't just revolve around the sun, but it also revolves around the center of the Milky Way galaxy.
Right. In that point, if I could clarify on that one, that's where, if you look at the Milky Way galaxy, you have all the arms and the spirals coming off on it. We're not stuck in one of those spiral arms. We actually, our solar system actually goes around at its own rate, and we pass through arms and different types of material over time. I believe that's what you were referring to.
It is exactly what I'm referring to. Our solar system makes one full rotation around the Milky Way galaxy every 220 to 240 million years. And while we're traveling through different parts of the Milky Way galaxy, we are obviously going to encounter different objects from different parts of that galaxy. Are we not, Thomas?
Oh, gosh, yes, my friend.
Right.
Oh, but this object is not attached to any particular solar system, and it's not from our Oort cloud. It's from somewhere else within our galaxy is kind of what we're dealing with here. But, you know, we've only been looking in space for this kind of technology for a small amount of time. So truthfully, we don't know how often and how frequent these kinds of objects actually are encountered in our solar system.
Right, because it's only been like 100 years that we've had an organized approach to surveilling what's going on around us.
And even 100 years ago, Mike, 50 years ago, they would never have been able to pick this stuff up.
That's true. So it's all in its infancy, and we are discovering new things all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we will continue to come across things we didn't know existed.
Right.
But that's still a far cry from an alien invasion, is it not?
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course it is, my friend. But if 3i Atlas goes around and gets hidden behind the sun on the opposite side of our solar system and it doesn't exit, we know there's something up.
Or it makes a 90-degree turn or course correction that we can detect that knows that it's under intelligent control. But so far, none of these things have occurred. And I don't believe they will. But if you want, we could take another audience poll and see what the audience thinks about that.
All right. What would you want to have the subject of the poll, Mike?
Will this object turn out to be something artificial?
Okay.
Or like AVI Loeb has claimed? Or is it a naturally occurring object?
All right. 3i. All right, simple enough. Or it's a comment. All right, yeah. Perfect. Made it fit. All right, let's go ahead and bring up this next poll we've got here. And we're saying 3i Atlas. It's a comet. It's from a non-human intelligence, or it's from something else non-intelligent. Let's go ahead and see where our audience is going to take this one. Let me go ahead and bring this up again. Where do we go on that one? Here we go. Let's make this a little bit larger for our audience to go ahead and see where we're going to take it. All right. Let me get the sound effect back on. Here we go. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
Okay, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Starting now.
All right, folks, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds to see what we're dealing with here, where audience takes it. It's a comet, is at 18%. It's from a non-human intelligence, is at 33%, and that's in second place. And in first place, it's from something else, non-intelligent, or almost 50% of our audience is going ahead and voting in that way. You've got 1 minute and 6 seconds, audience, to go ahead and vote. We've got 78 votes in, 79. Let's see if we can get this up to 100. You know, That's probably where I'm voting. It's from something else non-intelligent, because you know what, Mike? We keep on learning different things about our galaxy, about our universe, and it's determining that our basic understanding of the universe is flawed and broken. So this may be something else.
Yeah, I would agree with your vote. It's something else non-intelligent, because if it was intelligent, we would have probably picked up on that already. And we haven't so far. So I would agree with the third option.
Yeah.
It's more than likely going to turn out to be something we haven't experienced, but not under intelligent control.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with you on that, my friend. With just 13 seconds left, we've got 88 votes in. Let's see if we can hit 90 in the last 9 seconds. Hopefully we will, but I think our audience is pretty much set where this is going to be. We're not going to see a huge change. So at that note, I am going to go ahead and take a snapshot of that. I am going to go ahead and end the poll and bring up the final results that we have. Let's shut up Google and let's bring it around. And there we go. Our final results, my friend. 51% of our audience is saying it's from something else, non-intelligent. Coming in second, it's from the non-human intelligence at 32%, almost 20 points lower than it's something else non-intelligent. And only 17% of our people, Mike, are thinking that, yes, it's a comet. So it looks like the comet theory is going out, but we're more than not pointing towards it's something else non-intelligent.
Yeah,
I could go with that.
An accurate assessment. Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, the audience. I agree with the audience.
Oh,
They're
same
right.
here. Absolutely. Now, if we get into one of the next stories we're bringing up here, Mike, let's see if I can find the right one. All right. Ryan, getting back to the Bledsoes again, they're coming up with some controversial stuff. Not sure where it's all coming from, but you mentioned this and you get blocked on X. So I won't bring it up on X, but I'll bring it up on our live stream because this is our prerogative to do so, and we won't get blocked. So let's go ahead and bring this up. What are we talking about? So, from Ryan Bledsoe, that's Chris Bledsoe's son. If you zoom in and look closely, when the camera focuses in the beginning, you can clearly see flapping wings on this glowing orb. It appeared over a crowd of hundreds at the Psy Games. Multiple people in the crowd were filming and have been sending footage over time. The mainstream UFO narrative is fading away as a thing of the past. Mike, you gotta be fucking shitting me on this one. A bird, over the Psy Games where you get it lit up, you've got something moving around, moving like a bird, acting like a bird. You can see the wings flapping like a bird. However, what are they calling it out as? Let's see if I can find the picture I have here. Yes, praise be to the lady. A rare close-up of the image of Bledsoe's winged orb.
Oh, my God.
I don't know where this is all going, except it's just seeming. Has he started hanging out with Greer or someone to that extent? Because it just seems like he's getting into this whole pay for play potentially, and they're bringing forward evidence that just doesn't make sense.
Not to me.
Yeah, Susan Ford, your hand is up, my dear lady.
Isn't that something out of Harry Potter? What do they call it, a bludger or something?
Oh, yeah, kind of. It's a cubit from Harry Potter. Yes, we got that, Lord Malthus. Thank you very much. It's a duck. No, it's probably a seagull. A lot of times I've seen it in news broadcasts. They show all the little birds moving around erratically up in the sky over a lit area eating the insects. Now, because you have 200 people watching, you're going to call out and say it's an orb that his daddy called in. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's just one of those situations that just keeps on getting better by the moment. Let's get back off this one. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, it's a tricky situation to say the least, but I'm not buying it. I don't think you're buying it either, are you, my friend?
No, not at all. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I can't believe the degree of bullshit that seems to be going on out there on a regular basis. They should know better at this point.
Yeah.
That, like you said, could be a money grift.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I hope not either, but it just seems The claims are getting more and more odd without true evidence or multi-imaging to go ahead and back it up.
Yeah, zero evidence, which is never a good sign.
Yeah.
For outlandish claims.
Yeah. Now, covering other people on X talking about this, let's jump into it. Here we go. From Dan Zetterstam coming out there. When gently challenged about the declared winged orb, Ryan posted this detailed reply. This reaction has damaged perception of himself and his claims. I believe Chris has had experiences, but I no longer think Ryan is acting in good faith or is trustworthy. What a shame. Okay, so Ryan is saying, I have no reason to unfollow and uninform people. Sorry, but this is projection and a defense mechanism, Ryan. You yourself posted it that is a winged orb. I simply quoted you. Do you really not see the issue with saying this is a winged orb when birds and bats move and reflect light just like this? What does Ryan come back and say? Hell, I'll do you one better. I'll just go ahead and block you. So if it's an answer they don't like, it just seems blocking is the way. But I think it comes down to the claims are being made are sillier and sillier by the day.
It can insult one's intelligence, which I think is how Dan Zetterstrom was looking at this.
Yeah. Wrong one. I'd have to go ahead and agree on that one, Mike. It's just silly that now we've got, you've got a bunch of people out there, dad's calling in orbs and you get a bird. Now you call it a winged orb, but either way. But I think this isn't the first claim. I see claims of this going back to, what do you call it? All right, here we go. Going back to October 11th. 2024, almost a year ago. Let's bring this next one in here just to say this isn't the first time they've called out winged orbs, Mike. This has been going on. I guess we just missed this in the past. Let's get to this one. Here we go. All right, coming from Ryan Bledsoe again on October 11th, 2024. This weekend, we skywatched with nearly 200 people 2 nights in a row and saw miracles in the sky. Okay. Combined with both nights, we saw about 150 orbs of light. On Sunday night, we saw orbs with glowing wings. Awakening is happening now. So this isn't something new, but it seems to be something that's going on that's just a little concerning. I know there's a lot of people who want to go ahead and get involved in ufology, in disclosure, but this is clearly getting into the world of make-believe in ufology.
It's certainly a credibility killer, Thomas. Anybody who make a claim like this, it's hurting their reputation, not in a good way. And no proof to back any of it up. I don't know, it sounds like there's almost a contest of how outlandish they can come up with ideas. It insults people's intelligence.
Yeah,
at one point.
I know it's insulted mine. I can tell you that. That's why we're bringing it up
absolutely.
Here, just because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a completely ridiculous claim, without a shred of evidence to back any of it up.
Yeah,
nothing.
Oh, but wait a minute. This could answer what's going on, Mike. This could answer something, maybe. Let's bring this up. Stunning Chris Bledsoe orb footage filmed during the Ubiquity University in-person course.
Oh, God.
Mapping the beyond with him and Bertie Jarowski that took place this week in Wilmington, North Carolina. Ubiquity University. Isn't that the place where you can go ahead and pay all this money and get a piece of paper that's not worth anything?
Yeah, it's no accreditation. It's something you could use if you run out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not credible. Absolutely not. And they're actually touting the Ubiquity University as a source to confirm this information. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bledsoes are going to take a credibility hit in a big way that people are not going to be soon to forget.
I think it's overall damaging to the community, but that's just how we feel about it. We'll see where all of this goes in the end.
Yeah, none of this shit should be going on right now, and claims like this should not be made publicly without anything to back it up.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, talking about claims and evidence, you know how we talked about the show at the beginning of the show that someone got fined? I think it was going to be $50,000. Actually, they got the amount they're being fined down to $28,872 for someone in Nova Scotia for going into the woods on government land. What the hell is that about? Let me bring this up just to say, yeah, I'm not crazy on this one, folks. Here we go. Fined $28,872.50. And he actually had the people around him. He did a video on this. He recorded it. Michael Sokoloff, what is going on in Nova Scotia?
Well, you know, the conservative premier has decided that to impose an old law that if you go into you just can't trespass in any of the parks.
I wouldn't say that's conservative. That sounds communist to me.
Well, you know, they want to stop any chance that there would be a forest fire started by a human, and also if a forest fire starts because of the wave, because of the heat waves, that they don't have to evacuate a whole bunch of people out of the parks.
So you have to stay out of the parks. You can't go into the woods. That just blows my mind.
There's another law. If you've ever driven through the parks in Canada, every once in a while you'll see a sign that says $2,000 fine for littering. So you throw a gum wrapper out your car window and you get caught. They could fine you up to $2,000.
Yeah, that almost sounds like more Dems than it sounds like conservative people, if you ask me, at least Democrats in the United States.
The premier of Nova Scotia is a progressive conservative.
That just sounds crazy. My goodness. You know, they can claim forest fires is the issue, but there were actually rangers around him when he walked in the woods, and they apprehended him and brought him back.
Yeah, now he can fight that $28,000 fine in court, because he would have to go to court to plead guilty or not guilty or fight it or whatever. He might ask mercy on the judge. Hey, can you bring a lawyer or something? You know, you never know. So it all depends if he gets a lawyer or not.
Yeah.
How well he can fight that fine.
Yeah, I have to ask a question to our dear friend Freezer Man. Is it this draconian up in BC?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. We just had a thing here now where we've got our land claims where they're basically saying that the First Nations have title to every.
You're breaking up pretty bad. I think we've got the idea. The answer on that is actually yes. Wow. That is just crazy. We got to take a look and see what some of the people in the audience are saying. Well,
hey everybody, Jeff Evely here, out in Nova Scotia on Mountain Road in Coxheath.
So this is where he was at. He was there right in front of the ranger station, talking to him about it. Then he went off into the woods. They apprehended him, brought him back in, and gave him his fine. So no, this is not fake, folks. This is not fake news. It's actually real news.
So he taunted them.
Yeah. Wow. I just can't understand this one, Mike. I'm not from Canada, but it's like going to the National Forest. Sorry, you can visit the parks, but you can't walk into the woods. Wow.
And what the hell is going on? It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No.
I understand that they want to try to avoid forest fires and things like that. I get it. But to the extreme that they're going, and with fines like that, it's like they're almost convicting people before they commit a crime.
Yeah.
It's like something out of a bad science fiction movie.
Oh, I know. Let's get you back to a little bit of stuff in UFOs and space and science and everything. Cool video I found. Let's go ahead and bring this one up as we let's go ahead. Where's that at? Desktop, Thomas. All right, we have a video here of an F-35 being flown over Florida, a couple F-35s, and sure enough, right down below it, there you go. You got a SpaceX rocket taking off to go ahead and launch some satellites. How about that? That's not something you see every day, Mike.
No, that's actually very cool, Thomas.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, very cool. Never seen anything like this before. Usually you might see stuff from a regular commercial airliner. I've seen that once. First time I've seen it from an F-35.
Yes, sir. You're correct.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a sight.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Goes higher and higher into the atmosphere, all the way up. There we go, and boom. Hey, it's actually the first time I've seen an F-35 flying over Florida, or over the United States for that matter.
And not crashing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you did get a chance last night to go up on the Aurora Borealis, this next picture comes to us from Alberta. Yeah, it was out last night, but although they were still dealing with the midnight sun to a degree, some of the pictures that came out from the Aurora last night, Mike, were absolutely... Uh-oh. Not that one. Where'd it go? Oh, no, I lost it. Where'd it go? Where did that go? Let's get through all these again. Where did that picture go? There we go. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I saw some of these things popping up last night. Yeah, we're coming out of the overall solar maximum at this point, so it's getting more and more difficult to go ahead and see the Aurora Borealis. But as I see these pictures, as events happen, I'm definitely going to be showing it with the audience. Let me see if I got anything.
House will look like.
Okay, saw this one. This one is actually created with AI, and if it's created with AI, Mike, you can't copyright it, can you?
No, you can't.
So let's go ahead and play this little clip here. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, this will be good.
According to my grandpa, it's a hellhole.
What's the first thing?
Hold on, here we go. Let's rewind that.
So today's the big day. What do you think your house will look like?
According to my grandpa, it's a hellhole.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you get home today?
Watch the whole season of Love Island. Again.
Are you excited to finally meet your brothers and sisters?
I mean, I'd rather be an only child, but I guess.
So who's going to be at your house to welcome you home today?
My mom said it's going to be my auntie and her dusty boyfriend.
What has you most excited to go home today?
My uncle told me that he has a torta waiting for me.
Is there anything you're going to miss about this place?
That nurse Candy that works the night shift, definitely her.
So any plans for when you get home?
My dad said we got to get ready for college, so probably homework.
Mike, you got to love these little videos that people are putting together with AI these days. It's getting more and more realistic, although we know we're not going to be having talking babies, are we?
No, we are definitely are not. But yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. And I think, well, no. I can bring out that. I'll leave that there. We got this one. All right, we've got let's skip this one to a degree. Why did I bring this up and try and bring it across? Is there anything else we can go ahead and cover here that makes sense? I don't think we need to get into history of Washington, D.C., do we? Nah.
No, we don't.
It's a good one. But you know what? The moon was out last night, and there was a phenomenal phenomenal picture taken of it when it was in the sky. Let me see if I can bring this one up. This one looks pretty good. Here we go. Let me make it a little bit smaller. This is a high-resolution image in 4K that's out there, and this one just looks absolutely beautiful, Mike. We may have to incorporate this into the show.
Yeah, I like that image.
Yes.
It is beautiful, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. On that note, I think, Mike, we've about covered everything that we've got on our menu for today. Is there anything we haven't discussed?
No, I think we're good at this point. We'll have stuff for Monday's show.
Yeah, I believe so. Let me get back to this again. On that note, I want to thank everyone coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. More than anything, I want to go ahead and thank our audience for coming here tonight. And I want to thank some of our friends who have given us super chats. Who am I talking about? Well, starting it off, we had Alex Park. What is this doing this here? Okay, you're going to be a hard time. There we go. Let's go ahead and thank Alex Park. Thank you very much. And it's not showing. There we go. Where are your pets? Mr. Catfish 2100, thank you very much. Eli McGinnis, Mr. Catfish 2100 again. Alex Park. Again, thank you very much. Anonymous Rex and Baba200. I'm not sure what's popping up with all these additional characters at the bottom. Apparently, I need to update to the latest version of our chat system, but that's okay. We can deal with that. On that note, Mike, I want to thank you and everyone in the back for coming out today for our conversation.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And I want to thank you for putting this all together for everybody. And it was a great conversation so far today.
Yeah. And Mike, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, well, we can blame Canada for throwing people huge fines, but as we usually say,
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.